So it was really just to give you an update on the sorts of things that are going on sort of in between our meetings. You know, we don't just do this and then go home and put our feet up, swan off on holidays and that sort of thing. There's a lot of other work going on. And obviously, to do this work, we can only do this work because people have decided they want to support research and they help to raise funds, etc. So just to show where the funds that are being raised are being used, we thought you might appreciate an update on, this is only really what's happened since January. So in January we had a medical advisory board meeting. There's a selection of the top specialists in the country, GIST specialists, who are GIST Support UK's medical advisory board. You can see them on our website if you want to find out who they are, but the chair is Professor Ian Judson. And we met in January and had received 3 new proposals for research projects, and these are the ones that were approved. First of all, we've approved an extension to the 3 versus 5 year imatinib trial, which is the clinical lead for that trial is Dr. Ramesh Balusu. Secondly, we received a proposal from this handsome chap in the bottom right-hand corner. He's Dr. Olivier Giga. He's based in Cambridge, and he wants to do a pilot study into SDH deficiency in relation to mRNA. Now, I understand from the layman's sort of perspective that this is something which hasn't been done before, so hence the fact it's a pilot study, but the theory behind what he wants to investigate caused quite a lot of excitement with the board, and obviously if the pilot study proves the theory, then it could be helpful in identifying therapies for the future. Then we also received a request from Dr. Ruth Casey for another pilot project, which she was looking to understand if PARP inhibitors have a therapeutic potential in SDH deficient GIST, and the theory is that there should be. There's a very strong feeling that this needs to be tested out. So the evidence produced as a result of this research potentially would build a strong case to say that that would be a treatment that should be used in patients, but this is the evidence that we're looking for. In addition to that, obviously we've had requests for tissue from the National GIST Tissue Bank potentially both of those latter 2 projects will require tissue from our tissue bank, and they have both been given approval. And we've also got a researcher up in Glasgow who has also and has received tissue from the tissue bank for his research. So this is kind of our dream coming true. This is when we started out, in 2010, we want research, we need an infrastructure. This is what we were hoping for. Obviously, it's not the end result yet, but just the fact that we've managed to stimulate this research is quite a major step forward. There's a group called Cancer 52. Nick Puntis and I and various other members of the board go to their meetings. They are like an umbrella organisation that pulls lots of rare cancer groups together, and they're very knowledgeable in terms of the political positioning, etc. So we attend their meetings regularly and get updates on what's happening with the NHS, and they are like the voice of rare cancers, making sure we're put on the map. Terry and I went to the Sarcoma Patients Euronet conference in Athens. This is basically pulling together all the patient advocacy groups from across Europe and specialists from across Europe who come and provide updates and information about new techniques, new thoughts on how to approach GIST. And it was during this one and one a little bit earlier that they first started talking about these NTRK fusions that Philippe was talking about earlier, and the fact that, if you do have an NTRK fusion, there are therapies now for that particular type. It is ultra rare, but I understand that Dr. Balusu at the Paul's GIST Clinic is investigating all what they call the quadruple wild type GIST, those that haven't got any mutations in anywhere. They all get examined to see if they've got an NTRK fusion, just to make, if they have, then there is a therapy. And last week was the British Sarcoma Group meeting where, all the specialists that you've seen and many others come together and they share information and update each other. And they were all very excited about this standardization of genome sequencing as far as the NHS is concerned. I mean, that is a fantastic announcement. So we've got quite a lot of existing projects that GIST Support UK has also funded and stimulated. I won't go through every single one of them because I have been through them before, but they are ongoing. And obviously Ruth Casey, the lady with the orange, the blonde hair and the orange top on, she features quite heavily in this. I mean, she's a very clever lady. She's absolutely dedicated and passionate about her subject. And it's recognised here. Basically, one of the projects that she has been researching, which is the in vivo and ex vivo metabolomics in SDH-deficient tumorigenesis. But she's actually been awarded a prize, effectively, by the Amend Young Investigator Award, is what she's won, because she is a multiple endocrine specialist, and obviously the SDH-deficient GISTs are very similar. If they are more of an endocrine disorder, it would seem. So they all of her research is focusing on SDH-deficient tumours, of which GIST is one. You've heard about the Paul's GIST Clinic. Obviously, it's for those patients that aren't standard exon 11, etc., those where mutations haven't been found or where they have a special syndrome like NF1 or Carnes syndrome. We run 3 clinics per year. The next clinic is on the 11th and 12th of April. It's in clinic, and any wild-type patients who haven't yet been really should come to that clinic at least once, learn what it's about, and you will find it a very helpful thing to be part of. And it is part of the research. I say none of these things would be possible without people helping us with fundraising. And on that note, I'd actually like to ask Lee Brown to make himself known and wander in this direction. Where's Tori? Tori, how much has Lee contributed? Give a quick summary.
Well, Lee can probably describe this quite well. But Lee, so you were diagnosed, when was it?
2016.
Right. So Lee's been taking imatinib, and during that time, Lee's been one of our quite prolific fundraisers, and has organised now 2 events, huge events in Sheffield called Party on the Pitch, which involves a football tournament. Is it 5-a-side? 6-a-side. Sorry, I'm not a footballer. 6-a-side. And 6-a-side football tournament, and a whole festival day of fun with music and entertainment and food and drink. And those events now, and various other things like that you had, what was it? Get it down your neck, wasn't it? That one was a favourite. Yeah.
Challenge, yeah, lots of different ones.
Yeah, and skydiving and all sorts. And I think cumulative, you've raised over 15,000. It's going on. Yeah, £16,500. So I'd like to say thank you to Lee. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
So obviously, a lot of people contribute, and if they didn't contribute, we wouldn't be able to be shouting about all this research that's been stimulated. So thank you very much, Lee, and all others who have helped in creating that situation, or helping us to create that situation. And obviously, if any of you can think of ideas that you think might be useful, that you could accommodate, then Tori is our fundraising supremo, and she can be contacted at fundraising@gistsupportuk.com. So, as I say, none of what we do would be possible without people who volunteer their time and their skills. So, if any of you have a skill that you think we could be able to use and you'd be able to give, then we're always interested to hear. And if we've got a skills gap in that area, then we may be working together in future. So that's really the last bit of the update I was hoping to convey. I think Sharon's wanted me to make sure everyone's filled out their feedback forms, etc. But other than that, thank you all very much for coming. I hope you found it helpful today, and please carry on the conversation. Thank you.